Steinberg Cubase 12 Pro. We are starting the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so as not to miss new videos. And we begin. Project root key. The project root key allows you to transpose your project audio or MIDI events in your project. Use it as a reference. To change the project root key, use the project root key pop-up menu on the project window toolbar. If you change the project root key, loops that already contain root key information will follow automatically. Related links. Transposing with the project root key. Transpose functions. Transposing with the project root key. Transposing with the project root key. The loops included in Cubase already contain root key information. If you change the project root key, these loops will follow automatically. Prerequisite. You have opened a project that contains audio loops with different root keys. Procedure. Optional, select the drum and percussion loops in your project, and set the global transpose setting on the info line to independent. This setting excludes the loops from being transposed. On the project window toolbar, open the project root key pop-up menu, and set a root key for the project. This changes the root key for the entire project and transposes the loops to match this key. Result. The loops follow the project root key. After completing this task, record audio or MIDI. The newly recorded events are set to the project root key. Change the project root key. The events with root key information follow. Related links. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. Transpose track and recording. Project root key. Assigning the project root key to parts or events. Assigning the project root key to parts or events. Some audio or MIDI events that you have created by recording, for example, might not contain root key information. If you want them to follow the transposition changes, you must set them to the project root key. Procedure. On the project window toolbar, open the project root key pop-up menu, and set a root key for the project. Optional, select the drum and percussion loops in your project, and set the global transpose setting on the info line to independent. This setting excludes the loops from being transposed. Select Project Add Track Transpose. The transpose track is added to the track list. You can only have one transpose track in a project. In the track list, right-click the transpose track, and select Set Root Key for unassigned events from the context menu. Result. All parts or events that do not contain any root key information are set to the project root key. Related links. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. Transposing with the project root key. Recording with a project root key. Recording with a project root key. If you record with a project root key, the recorded events follow this root key automatically. This function is useful if you want to change the root key later and you want the events to follow. Procedure. Optional, select the drum and percussion loops in your project, and set the global transpose setting on the info line to independent. This setting excludes the loops from being transposed. On the project window toolbar, open the project root key pop-up menu, and set the root key. All parts and events are transposed in order to match the root key. Record your music. Result. All recorded audio events and MIDI parts receive the project root key information. On the info line, the global transpose setting for recorded events is set to follow. After completing this task, change the project root key. Your events follow. Assigning the project root key to parts or events. Changing the root key of individual audio events. Changing the root key of individual audio events. You can change or set the root key information for individual audio events or parts in the pool. Procedure. Select Media, Open Pool window. Open the View/Attributes pop-up menu, and activate the root key option. The key column is displayed in the pool window. Click the key column for the audio event or part that you want to assign a different root key to, and select a key from the pop-up menu. Result. The root key of the audio event or part is changed. The corresponding audio file, however, remains unchanged. If you change the project root key, the audio events or parts keep their own root key settings and are transposed to match the project root key. Note. You can also assign root keys in the MediaBay. Note. Save the root key in the audio file by selecting the audio event in the event display and by selecting Audio, Bounce Selection. Recording with a project root key. Changing the root key of individual MIDI parts. Changing the root key of individual MIDI parts. You can change the root key information for individual MIDI parts in the project window info line. Procedure. In the event display, select the MIDI part. In the project window info line, click Root Key, and select a key from the pop-up menu. Result. The root key of the MIDI part is changed. If you change the project root key, the MIDI parts keep their own root key settings and are transposed to match the project root key. Changing the root key of individual audio events. Transpose track. Transpose track. The transpose track allows you to transpose the entire project or sections of it. This function is useful if you want to create harmonic variations. For this function to work, you must add transpose events. These transpose events allow you to transpose specific sections of your project in semitones. Tip. If your singer does not reach a certain pitch, you can transpose the entire project by adding a transpose track and creating a transpose event with the value -2 semitones. After recording, set the transpose event back to 0. If you want to brighten up your loops in C major, you can transpose them by adding a transpose track and creating a transpose event with the value 5. This transposes them by 5 semitones, so that the subdominant on F major is played back. If you want to make your song more interesting, you can transpose the last chorus of your project by adding a transpose track and creating a transpose event with the value 1. Changing the root key of individual MIDI parts. Transposing sections of a project with transpose events. Transposing sections of a project with transpose events. You can transpose specific sections of your project by creating transpose events on the transpose track. Procedure. Select project, add track, transpose. The transpose track is added to the track list. You can only have one transpose track in a project. Select the draw tool and click on the transpose track. A transpose event is created from the point where you clicked until the end of the project. Click at a new position to add another transpose event. Click the value in the lower left corner of the event, and enter a transpose value between -24 and 24 semitones. Play back your project. Result. The sections of your project that are situated at the same time positions as the transpose events are transposed. Related links. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. Transpose track. Muting events on the transpose track. Muting events on the transpose track. You can mute transpose events on the transpose track. This is useful if you want to compare the effect of the transposition with the original sound, for example. Procedure. In the track list of the transpose track, click Mute Transpose Events. Result. The transpose events are not taken into account during playback. Transposing sections of a project with transpose events. Transpose lock. Transpose lock. The lock function on the transpose track allows you to prevent your transpose events from being moved or changed by mistake. To lock the transpose track, activate lock in the track list. Muting events on the transpose track. Keep transpose in octave range. Keep transpose in octave range. Keep transpose in octave range on the transpose track keeps the transposition in the octave range. This ensures that nothing is transposed by more than 7 semitones and that your music never sounds unnatural because the pitch was raised too high or too low. We also recommend activating this function when you work with audio loops. Example. You have opened the key editor and activated Indicate Transpositions. You have added a transpose track and activated transpose in octave range. If you add a transpose event with a value of 8 semitones or higher, the chord is transposed to the nearest interval or pitch. Transpose lock. Indicate transpositions. Indicate transpositions. For MIDI parts, you can get a visual feedback that allows you to compare the original sounds and the music transposed for playback. To activate Indicate Transpositions for a MIDI part, open the part in the key editor, and click Indicate Transpositions. If Indicate Transpositions is activated, the transposed note pitches are shown. If Indicate Transpositions is deactivated, the original pitches of the notes in the MIDI part are shown. Keep transpose in octave range. Transpose track and recording. Transpose track and recording. The transpose track affects the result of the recorded parts or events. If your project contains a transpose track with transpose events and you record audio or MIDI, the following happens. Global transpose is automatically set to independent for the recorded parts or events. The project root key is not taken into account. If your project does not contain a transpose track or if no transpose events are added, the following happens. Global transpose is automatically set to follow for the recorded parts or events. The recorded parts or events receive the project root key. Indicate transpositions. Transpose on the info line. Transpose on the info line. In the project window info line, you can change the transpose value for individual parts or events. To do this, change the transpose value in the transpose field, on the info line. The transpose field also indicates transpositions introduced by changing the project root key. Transpose track and recording. Transposing individual parts or events using the info line. Transposing individual parts or events using the info line. You can transpose individual audio events and MIDI parts on the info line transpose field. Procedure. Select the event or part that you want to transpose. On the project window info line, click the transpose field and enter a transpose value in semitones. Note: if the project already contains global transpose changes, it might be useful to activate Keep Transpose in octave range. Result: the event is transposed accordingly. The transpose value is added to any global transpose change that you have created by using the root key or the transpose track. Related links. Keep transpose in octave range. Transpose on the info line. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. If you add global transposition, for example, by changing the root key or by creating transpose events, you can exclude specific events from being transposed. This is useful for drum and percussion loops or special effects, FX, loops. Procedure. Select the event or part that you want to exclude from being transposed. On the info line, click the global transpose field to set the value to independent. Events that are excluded from global transpose carry a symbol in the upper right corner. Result. If you change the project root key or add transpose events, the independent parts or events are not affected. Note. Ready-made parts or events that are tagged as drums or FX are automatically set to independent. Transposing individual parts or events using the info line. Markers. Markers. Markers are used to locate certain positions quickly. There are two types of markers, position markers and cycle markers. If you often find yourself jumping to a specific position within a project, you should insert a marker at this position. You can also use markers to make range selections or for zooming. Markers are located on the marker track. You can add up to 10 marker tracks. You can show vertical marker lines that indicate marker positions on all tracks throughout the entire project. Marker lines are displayed in the project window and in the global track section of the key editor inspector. Note. Marker lines are shown behind other events on other tracks. If you need a more pronounced indication of the lines, consider lowering the event opacity in the Preferences dialog, Event Display page. In the project window, marker lines are only shown if the marker track is not hidden in the Visibility tab. Related links. Position markers. Cycle markers. Marker track. Event opacity. Event display markers. Showing/hiding marker lines in the project window. Showing/hiding marker lines in the key editor. Showing/hiding individual tracks. Showing/hiding global tracks in the key editor. Excluding individual parts or events from global transpose. Position markers. Position markers. Position markers allow you to save a specific position. Position markers on the marker track are shown as marker events, vertical lines with the marker description, if assigned, and number beside it. If you select a marker track, all of its markers are shown in the inspector. Markers. Cycle markers. Cycle markers. By creating cycle markers, you can save any number of left and right locator positions as start and end positions of a range and recall them by double-clicking on the corresponding marker. Cycle markers are shown on a marker track as two markers bridged by a horizontal line. Cycle markers are ideal for saving sections of a project. By defining cycle markers for the intro, verse, and chorus of a song, for example, you can quickly navigate to the song sections and repeat the section by activating Activate Cycle on the transport panel. Position markers. Setting the locators using cycle markers. Setting the locators using cycle markers. Cycle markers represent ranges in your project. You can use them for moving the left and right locators. Procedure. To set the left locator to the cycle marker start and the right locator to the cycle marker end, perform one of the following actions. Double-click on a cycle marker. Select the cycle marker from the cycle pop-up menu in the track list. Result. The left and right locators are moved to encompass the cycle marker. After completing this task, now you can move the project cursor position to the start or the end of the cycle marker by moving it to the corresponding locator or use cycle markers to export specific ranges of your project with the Export Audio Mixdown dialog. Cycle markers. Editing cycle markers. Editing cycle markers. When editing cycle markers on a marker track, snap is taken into account. To add a cycle marker, press Ctrl/CMD, click and drag on the marker track. To change the start/end position of a cycle marker, drag the start/end handle. To move a cycle marker to another position, drag the upper border. To delete a cycle marker, click with the Erase tool. If you hold down Alt/Opt when you click, all consecutive markers are deleted. To cut a range in a cycle marker, select a range in the cycle marker, and press Ctrl/CMDX. To set the marker start/end of the selected cycle marker to the cursor position, select Project Markers to open the Markers window, and select Functions Set Marker Start/End to Cursor. To set the left and right locators, double-click a cycle marker. To zoom in on a cycle marker, press Alt/Opt, and double-click the cycle marker. Setting the locators using cycle markers. Showing/hiding marker lines in the project window. Showing/hiding marker lines in the project window. You can activate/deactivate vertical marker lines that indicate marker positions on all tracks throughout the entire project. Marker lines are shown in the project window event display. By default, marker lines are shown for the active marker track. Prerequisite. You have added at least one marker track and one marker to your project. The marker track is visible and not filtered out with the Visibility tab. Procedure. In the project window track list, right-click a marker track, and select an option from the Show Marker Lines menu. You can show marker lines of the active marker track, of all marker tracks, or you can hide them. Result. In the project window event display, marker lines are shown according to your settings. Note. The Show Marker Lines options are also available in the Preferences dialog, Event Display, Markers page. Marker lines are shown behind other events on other tracks. If you need a more pronounced indication of the lines, consider lowering the event opacity in the Preferences dialog, Event Display page. Related links. Event Display Markers. Editing cycle markers. Showing/hiding marker lines in the key editor. Showing/hiding marker lines in the key editor. You can activate/deactivate vertical marker lines that indicate marker positions on all tracks throughout the entire project. Marker lines are shown in the event display for global tracks in the key editor. By default, marker lines are shown for the active marker track. Prerequisite: you have added at least one marker track and one marker to your project. The marker track is visible and not filtered out with the Visibility tab. Procedure: in the Key Editor Inspector, activate the Global Track section. In the track list of the Global Track section, activate one or more marker tracks. In the Project Window track list, right-click a marker track, and select an option from the Show Marker Lines menu. You can show marker lines for the active marker track, for all marker tracks, or you can hide them. Result: in the event display for global tracks in the key editor, marker lines are shown according to your settings. Note: the Show Marker Lines options are also available in the Preferences dialog, Event Display, Markers page. Marker lines are shown behind other events on other tracks. If you need a more pronounced indication of the lines, consider lowering the event opacity in the Preferences dialog, Event Display page. Related links: Event Display, Markers. Showing/hiding marker lines in the project window. Markers window. Markers window. In the Markers window, you can view and edit markers. To open the Markers window, you have the following possibilities. Select Project Markers. On the Transport panel in the Markers section, click Open Markers window. Use a key command, by default Control/CMDM. Track section. Set focus to marker track. Selects a marker track for editing. If your project contains more than one marker track, the selected marker track is activated in the project window. Settings section. Show marker IDs on marker track. If this option is activated, the marker IDs are shown on marker track events. Cycle follows when locating to markers. This automatically sets the left and right locators to a position or cycle marker when locating to this marker. This is useful if you need to set the locators on the fly during recording for punch-in/punch out, for example. Sync selection. If this option is activated, the selection in the Markers window is linked to the selection in the project window. Important: this option is automatically deactivated when a recording is started. You can activate it again after stopping the recording. Marker list section. Add position marker. Adds a position marker at the cursor position. Add cycle marker. Adds a cycle marker at the cursor position. Remove marker. Removes the marker that is selected in the marker list. Functions pop-up menu. Allows you to move selected markers on the project timeline and to reassign the marker IDs of all position or cycle markers in the marker list. Move markers to cursor moves position markers or start positions of cycle markers to the cursor position. Reassign position marker IDs reassigns the IDs for all position markers on the active marker track to match the order of markers on the track. Reassign cycle marker IDs reassigns the IDs for all cycle markers on the active marker track to match the order of markers on the track. Auto scroll with project cursor. Allows you to keep track of the locate arrow, even if your project contains a high number of markers. If this option is activated, the Markers window is automatically scrolled to keep the locate arrow visible. List of markers. Lists the markers of the selected track. Showing/hiding marker lines in the key editor. Editing in the Markers window.